Good day, people of the YouTube side of things, and welcome to the sloppy seconds on the secondary channel. Did you know that women exist? And that by existing, people get offended by that existence? Did you also know that Twitch is absolutely a credulous website that is upholded to the highest of standards? One of those things that I just said was a lie. Here's a hint. It was the second part that was a lie.
What the fuck?
Twitch is definitely not a good platform. But there's been a whole load of drama, as there always ever is, around Twitch thoughts. And with the recent, wave of nonsense that came around when Twitch decided to, for 5 minutes, allow the community to stream creative nudity, there was obviously those who were less than credulous and less than respectful of the new freedom given, who decided to jump on the bandwagon and abuse that freedom to the nth degree, and then ended up treating Twitch like a cam service site more than has been done in the past. Now, here's the thing. This has never not been a thing. There have always been people on Twitch making bank off of sex. And in my perspective of things, cool. Yes, Twitch is a, yes, 100%, Twitch is a gaming website and should be used as such. And anyone that pushes those boundaries and uses the platform specifically like a cam service shouldn't be on the platform. However, my mentality is, if you've got it, flaunt it. The only thing that should ever come into question is appropriateness and whether what you're doing is appropriate for the platform. If what you're doing is basically softcore pornography, then that's not appropriate. And we had this whole conversation on Twitch, and this whole dialogue was about giving people the opportunity to be able to draw and do artwork that would include female nudity or nudity in general in a creative fashion. And the discourse then came when we started getting people on Twitch who were then streaming with literally their tits out or really obscure censor bars that were hiding nothing other than the nipple. So this video was put out, that we're going to watch, was put out by Head, who is a very constructive content creator who usually has very interesting takes on things, and usually makes a very concise approximation of whatever that subject is. And this is something that I think is very interesting to talk about, because it's something that I am personally involved with, and it's something that I think everyone should be educated about. So, with that being said, let's have a little look and see what they have to say about this whole subject. And I will say, I love their hair. I've seen some of this person's content in the past.
Don't like seeing lewd things online.
Oh dear. See, this is why I feel like I have some semblance of a say in this, considering, you know, I strike a balance of lewdness and crudeness, as is evident. I am a porn artist. I draw smut. So this whole conversation is very poignant to me. But a balance is important. A balance is very important.
Simply close your eyes and walk away. But what happens when you do close your eyes and walk away?
But you know what? This actually holds some sway. I'm not going to pause champ too heavily. This is just something I wanted to get off my chest before I say anything. A lot of this argument is so first world country kind of problem. This is very much a Twitter drama, much like the whole Pal world recently has been. At the end of the day, if you don't like it, don't watch it. The only person who should really be concerned about whether something is appropriate or not is the people enforcing the rules and the people doing it. Consequence and action will always happen. It just depends whether it's being enforced or not. And at that point, the outrage realistically shouldn't be at the people trying to make bank. It should be put at the people not enforcing the platform the way it should be. Like, if somebody is on Twitch and they get banned, I don't think they should be banned for something like this. I think it's something that they need to be warned about, because if you're going to lose your entire revenue, then that's a bit extreme. And at the end of the day, it's going to be somewhere. It's just, this whole discourse is just because of a lack of consistency and a lack of understanding from Twitch's behalf. If you give people the opportunity, they will take advantage. That's them taking advantage of a lack of structure and deterministic nature. Something that should be said as well is that when this whole thing happened on Twitch, it could have worked. But Twitch, in their stupidity, they just didn't place infrastructure and place censorship in place where it should have been to have allowed the content to prosper where it could have been. Because if you were going to do this properly, if you want to, I think 18+ content is totally fine on Twitch, but you need to put it in its own category. You need to have it so it can't be seen by people who are browsing the average directory. And if you are going to go to the art section or just chatting and it's going to be slightly more risque content, it should be the thumbnail should be blurred out, and it should be its own little category within that category that doesn't appear on the main channel. That way, it's self-regulative, and if people breach that, then they've already signed the little check mark that says, yes, I'm making 18+ content. And if they're doing that in the wrong section, it's more apparent and easily controllable. It was such an easy win that Twitch just did not decide to take the foresight with. In any case, let's watch this video.
No matter where you walk away to, you bump right back into it. Whether it's on Twitter, TikTok,
Sex is part
or
of
even
life.
Twitch.
Especially on the internet. Hey guys, did you know we're on the internet? And did you know that on the internet we're able to share our degeneracy?
I'm gonna get canceled for this. All these years, and this is what's gonna get me canceled. I don't want to hear it from any water snobs, okay? Where are my fellow...
Water's good. Hydration, baby!
Dasani heads at. But anyway, do you like the red hair? A lot of the Twitch thoughts.
Oh, you're right. She does look a bit like Boxy, doesn't she?
Have red hair. I felt like I was missing out.
Oh, that's
Hello,
not
ladies
me.
and gentlemen. Today we are talking about the Twitch thought epidemic and its consequences, as well as OnlyFans culture and the de-sexualization of. I promise this will make sense.
See, I already know where she's going with this. So, for those who aren't aware, I'm an analyst. As stupid as I may be, as crackhead energy to have, as much as a gremlin as I am somebody who is very formulaic. I am somebody who is very observative, and I am able to process trends and see things that happen in a way that makes sense. And there's a lot of underlying nuance to, and a lot of underlying subjectivity to this whole Twitch thought epidemic that I think John Head's probably going to cover that doesn't get discussed.
Maybe. Like, all my videos are just kind of messy brain vomit. I mean, I guess that's one way you can be sure I'm not plagiarizing. When I start to sound smart and make sense, that's a red flag. I figured out how to use ChatGPT.
That's literally my entire IP.
So for those of you who are unaware, Twitch is a video game streaming website, or at least it used to be, where people often stream themselves playing video games and interact with their viewers. But recently...
So this is the appropriateness. Yes, your priority should be gaming, and it should be something around the relevancy of the platform. But that doesn't mean you can't sprinkle in degeneracy. I mean, look at VTubers, for Christ's sake. VTubers are the epitome of overly sexualized content because that's what sells. Like, if you have the ability of being a cartoon character, selling yourself on the internet, why not? But again, if that's the only metric you're selling yourself on, you are going to get a very specific kind of audience, and you're not going to sell yourself on your personality, which is the most important part.
In the past few years, it has been invaded by women. But not only women, naked women. You might be asking,
I bet you're wearing clothes. I bet you're naked under your clothes, you slut.
And normally, you'd be correct. But Twitch is a website for kids. Advertised for users.
I don't know about that. Is Twitch a platform for kids? I mean, yeah, it's marked for the age of 13+, but I feel like the platform is very much branded towards more mid-teenage, older, sort of young adult types. I mean, yes, there is obviously that problem, but again, this level of issue dealing with the sex on Twitch is only one issue. If you are that concerned about about kids seeing titties on Twitch, it feels very an overblown issue. Especially considering the other issues that your 13-year-old is going to get subjected to on Twitch. The racism, the bigotry, and the pedophiles. Like, your kid is not safe just because you're trying to censor titty. I'm just saying that. Like, I do not think that Twitch is specifically tailored towards kids either. And especially considering there's also the ability to mark your channel as being 18+ as well. So, it seems like a very narrow view of the overall problem.
Relevant up and predominantly
like
used by young boys. And the question on everyone's mind is, are these evil Jezebels preying on today's youth, or are they simply the product of capitalism? Clever, sneaky women taking advantage of people.
I don't think they're predating the young people. I think they're just predating people who have more money than sense, have no control over their funds, and people who are horny. And okay, I'm gonna be real. If you are that if you are lacking that much self-control that you're getting your jollies from Twitch, what is wrong with you? There's literally websites out there that give you free cam services and free porn. Why are you trying to get this from Twitch? Yes, I know there's the interactivity of live people, but you can also get that elsewhere. Is it that? Are you that lazy? Oh my god.
Brutal system in order to selfishly make money.
How
yeah,
dare
that
they?
reminds me. Before we get into this, let's quickly get into today's sponsor.
Yeah, sponsor!
When you're browsing the internet, you may think all your personal
I'm gonna skip this
information
real
is
quick.
safe on there. During this video, and as always, thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad. Now let's get back to the
I'm
video.
sorry.
So about 2 weeks ago, this tweet showed up
I
on my
remember
Twitter
this!
timeline.
Dude, we were watching this
What's going on with
live.
Twitch? Which showed a streamer wearing no shirt, swinging her fun bags around slightly.
Yes, 100%. This is above. This is way up. This is taking the mickey. This is 100% taking the mickey. This kind of thing should not be on Twitch. Or if it is, give it its place.
Off camera every time she got a donation. So for strictly
I do not think it is wrong, though.
purposes, I went to Twitch to
It's just
see if this was
inappropriate
real.
for the platform.
And surely enough, it was, and it wasn't just one
Yeah,
streamer.
it wasn't just her. There were loads of people doing
many.
this.
It was
Yeah.
multiple. It was the entire home.
Wait, was that Shy Lily?
Was many. It was
Amazing.
multiple. It was the entire home page. And then when you went to click on one of the streams, it just took you there. No.
Okay, real conversation here. Now, what makes the absurdism here so much more apparent for the real person versus when VTubers are very apparently over-sexualized? There's another conversation to be had here between artwork and real people. And again, I totally understand that making bank is important, and the people taking advantage of this should probably be slapped on the wrist. But so many of them were getting banned and losing their entire revenue that I'd kind of just felt a bit weird. Felt a bit overplayed, I guess.
Verification needed, no login required, nothing. And the whole internet pretty much agreed this was insane. Not everyone, we will get to that, but most people agreed this was crossing a line.
The
Because of all
one-handed
outrage,
Andes were definitely the
Twitch
ones who probably
changed
didn't
the rules,
mind so
not
much.
to fix the website. They changed the rules in order to save the Twitch thoughts. Twitch.
Yep. You want to know why? You want to know how many subs these people usually earn? Money talks. You absolutely, if you do not think there is preferential treatment for big streamers, you haven't been paying attention to the internet recently. If you are earning a lot of money for this poor, like guys, this poor multi-billion-dollar company is not profitable. This poor Twitch, this poor multi-million-dollar company is so unprofitable that they cannot even give their streamers a 70-30 split, which is the industry standard. This poor multi-billion-dollar company, the fact that they've done so many greedy things in the past, of course they're not going to ban their biggest earners.
Actually doubled down and made it so twerking, pole dancing, and artistic nudity was allowed. Artistic nudity.
The artistic nudity thing was specifically designed as something for the artists. So artists could start, so they could get it, they said they could draw their more creative things without being so worried about it. Because I have had friends who have been banned because they've drawn, you know, creatively interesting things that just happen to have a nipple. And the problem is, in its intent, it's not a bad idea. But then you had VTubers who were like literally showing their tits off on stream, and the twerkers and everything. And again, that kind of content is fine in the right place. And it's because of the incredulous few who ruined it for the majority who would have benefited from it, which is where I get slightly pissed off. And I think, again, this is more of a problem with the infrastructure of Twitch and the regulation of the platform. This is not a problem with the people trying to make money. They are just taking advantage of a badly maintained website.
Right. So obviously, Twitch is run by simps. We knew this.
Obviously.
Anyway. Artistic nudity. So, like, can you glue googly eyes onto your Can you do, like, a little meat spin on camera with googly eye?
Yeah.
And that would be considered cool and fine? Because it's art, right, Twitch? Why am I still doing this? So then VTubers, animated YouTubers, took advantage
Oh my god, if they show Marina in this, I'm gonna lose my mind.
of this new artistic nudity rule and started streaming their avatars butt-ass naked.
It's called hen.
You know, Marina might have gotten everyone else in trouble, but she gained about 5,000 followers out of that.
And it's art.
Only
she
for
legitimately
them to
exploded
get
because of all
banned
this.
while the Twitch thoughts remained. Clearly,
There's nothing
2D
wrong with being
girl
a thot.
discrimination.
Have
A
you
few
seen
days
my
later,
design?
Twitch finally banned the Twitch thoughts for a day.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Okay, time's up.
This has been going on
Yeah,
for a
holds up.
very long time. From hot tub stream.
This whole thing is the epitome of Twitch's ethos to managing their website. The ethics never matter. The only thing that matters to Twitch is how much money they're making. If what you're doing is affecting their bottom line, then they're more likely to ban you. Likewise, if you are earning them a lot of money, they're more likely to be lenient so you can get going with what you're doing again. If you are earning them so much money that it counterweights the amount of money they would lose by banning you, you can get away with murder on Twitch. Same with YouTube. Look at Sniper Wolf, for example.
Streams to ASMR ear licking. Twitch has just becoming a
I'm just going to say this about this kind of content.
king.
Look, this is not my cup of tea, but this is still creative in its own way. And if this is the kind of content, it's very okay. The big conversation here is the definitive line between sex and sexuality, and what is sex and what isn't. And I refuse to believe that Twitch does not know the difference between what is and is not sexualized. The problem is, Twitch wants to be ambiguous so that the line is blurred enough so that they can get away with the maximum amount possible with the least amount of responsibility to make the most amount of money. The less that Twitch is capable of getting involved, the more they will make out of it. So by keeping the lines blurred, this kind of content is allowed in the public eye, which means more people are able to see it, more people are able to sub, donate, give ad revenue, which in the end gives Twitch money. And again, I think this content is fine. I think if it had its place, if it was specifically in a NSFW section, then that would be great. That way people who were looking for this more sexual gratified content would know where to go for it. And this is where everyone's knickers get in twist, is how it blurs in with people who are making authentic content that are more pertinent to the platform. All Twitch has to do is put a place to accommodate it, and you would make everybody happy, and it would still keep their hands clean.
Twitch has just becoming a cesspool for this stuff, especially in the past 3 years, following a pattern I have been
I do think it's still a problem.
online.
I don't think
a huge
just because I
increase-
think it's okay doesn't mean I don't think there's a problem. Like, would I prefer Twitch to be completely focused on gaming? Yes, absolutely. I would rather Twitch uphold its standards and make sure that the platform is used for what it's designed for. But in the current situation and with the way things are, if they're going to allow sexualized content on their platform, just fucking regulate it and take responsibility. Good lord.
of OnlyFans models and everywhere. And it isn't just my observation, it's a fact. There are many studies that came out that show pornography and pornography addiction increased significantly during the pandemic, especially for young people.
And why do we think that is? Why do we think that is? Ah, look, little Jimmy's stuck inside because of the pandemic. Well, I'm not gonna do some parenting. I fuck that. I should be at work right now. Mummy's got to do her 9 to 5 from home now. Just give little Jimmy a tablet and he'll be fine. Oh, Twitch, that sounds like a good website. That's for gaming, right? Oh, look, what's little Jimmy looking at now? Man, those are some big knockers. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that this website was for porn. And all of a sudden, when everyone's locked inside and bored off their mind, of course they're going to be exposed to way more pornography because everybody's fucking bored and horny.
Hasn't decreased since. And the amount of people making content on OnlyFans has skyrocketed. Being locked in our houses absolutely
I'm sorry, but I contributed to that.
Did something to our brains. You used to have to go out of your way to see this stuff, and now it's everywhere. Now,
is that really true? Is that really true? I don't think it is. Like, even before the pandemic, porn was very readily accessible. I mean, even on Twitch, even before the pandemic, there was still, you know, this conundrum of hottiness on Twitch. I would say it got worse. I would definitely say it got worse comparatively. But I don't think it was ever hard. I don't think it's ever been hard to find titties on the internet. I mean, look, when I was but a wee lass, if I wanted to see some boob, I just typed in big boobs into Google. And yes, I'd have to scrub my browser history afterwards so my mummy wouldn't find out that I'd been looking at boobies. But,
compare this to how I talked about this
I would say it was probably easier to find,
a few years ago, where I would make fun of people for complaining about...
This is like walking into a strip club and being like, get your horny asses out.
It's true. And this is the other side of the conversation. Being upset at sexualized content and porn or sex in general is very dishonest and very disconnected because it is just part of our lives. Sex is the oldest job in the world. It has existed long before our generations and was celebrated as one of the most profane jobs imaginable back in the early days. The outrage is only really now because people seem to be more entitled and first world problems are kind of giving people the entitlement to be outraged about things. I think the whole issue of people who are trying to desexualize sex are the issue in that sentiment of the content of the subject. But when we're talking about Twitch specifically, again, this would all be solved just by giving them their place. Like you will, if like as over the generations, getting desensitized at a younger age has been a trend. Like if you look back in the 40s or 50s, you know, you probably wouldn't have seen a boob unless it was your mum's until you were like 15, 16, you know. The only way of getting access to that kind of stuff was if you had a girlfriend or you were lucky enough to convince somebody older than you to get a nudie magazine. This is very much a modern situation, and yes, modern situation has led to desensitization at a younger age. But that is the world we live in. It's a case of adaptation and accommodation. It's more of a sentiment that if it's a problem, you need to make sure that you're taking responsibility for keeping your kids safe yourself. I think there is the underlying tie-in with that of Twitch just being badly moderated. And that Twitch really just needs to choose a frickin' lane. But hey, that's just my theory.
Out of here.
The difference is now everywhere is the strip club. It's to the point where even meme accounts on Twitter are being paid to discreetly advertise OnlyFans pages. And you can't even block the accounts that
what do
show
you
up
mean?
as
She's
ads
just having a lovely
on
little
Twitter.
rest on the
Great
couch.
website, Elon.
A lovely midday
13
sleep.
plus, by the way. And anyone who points this out is called a prude or a conservative. If you have an issue with naked women making softcore on a website...
Really, this all just boils down to for people being bored and having far too much of an opinion and trying to be contrarian. Like, this is literally one of the most first world problems imaginable. People have sex? What? I guarantee you as well, a lot of the people who complain about this kind of stuff are the kind of neck-bearded virgins that sit at their desk who are just upset they're not getting any. Well, I'm not having sex, so no one else should. Ree!
Full of children, you're the problem. How does the overall...
Oh, not to pause again. I just questioned, what's my thumbnail gonna be for this? Do I use Chew on Head's thumbnail? Or do I just put some fat tits in the thumbnail? What do we think?
well-being of society affect you, bigot? Most of the internet seemed to agree that this Twitch thing was wrong, but there were a lot of people mad at me
I would
and
go
others
very satirically
for
with this, I
pointing
think.
out the obvious. So we're gonna respond to some of those critiques from people who disagree on this subject, and then we're gonna talk a little more deeply
I like the
about
fact this is also a golden opportunity to show that I'm more than just a React Andy, and I can be constructive with my comments, and that I am
Why doesn't
kind of
Twitch
smart.
just make a new 18+ site? They do this on Twitch because the market is already saturated on actual porn cam sites. They won't stand out. They can find a larger, younger audience on Twitch.
Once again, Twitch's less than authentic enforcement of their own platform. They do not want to put in the work or the money to invest into a platform that would tailor for this. They do not want to give their platform or their audience any kind of comfort of life because it will cost them money. So rather than investing to solve the problem, they just let it get away with them because they're making money. It's all money. It always will be.
What I'm trying to say is
that's Amazon's only
should
care.
Be banned. Okay, so my tweet was a little harsh, but am I wrong? Blaming these women for what Twitch allows and calling them accomplishes nothing except morally grandstanding that you think you're better than them. So first of all, I am better than them. So are you. So is everyone who doesn't.
People who make comments chastising this kind of stuff are incredibly stupid. Like, it's the low IQ, entitled nonsense of people who don't understand the world we live in. And people like that,
second of all,
I cannot take seriously.
Calling them does nothing. I did it because it was funny. These are grown-ass women toying with the TOS. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know they're walking a fine line. That's why they're here on Twitch and not on the hundreds of adult websites that exist. If a parrot, they're so dangerous.
It's called the path of least resistance. What would you rather do? Go to another cam service that you have to fight against AI cam girls, a dozen other cam girls that have built themselves up? Or would you rather go to a platform like Twitch that has a distinct lack of that kind of stuff, but easy accessibility for horny teenagers who want to see some fat tits?
Hello there.
Yeah. To an extent as well. Actually, no, never mind. No, I've completely lost track of what I was going to say. Point being, yes, this is Twitch's fault, not
to you. Maybe you should lock yourself in the cave. Cry more, little bro, and tell your fellow bros to stop thinking with their dicks. Hello, fellow bros. Stop thinking with your dicks. Brace yourselves. The incels about to lose their minds and act like women are ruining Twitch. Lol at the men in these comments admitting they are not attracted to women. I'm sorry you don't like hot women.
Ew, women. Ew. I'm sorry, I'm only attracted to Pokemon.
Maybe work on the internalized
Give me some of that Pokussy, you know what I'm saying?
Sorry. If you don't like huge oiled up milkers bouncing around on a Twitch stream, I'm just gonna assume you hate women.
Is this peak content now? Have I peaked? Where are my 1 million followers? Why am I not getting 1 million subscribers? Hello, can I have success now, please? Can I have success now?
Do straight men even like women? Oh, you're not sexualizing women? You're not just gooning to every woman you see? What do you hate?
Hey, now. Don't you knock the gooning. That's my entire fan base. Yo, gooners unite!
What are you, gay? How did they manage to reverse engineer being sexist into not going awooga, honk, honk every time they see you?
I fucking love this lady. She's so fucking based.
Woman. Incredible. Huge fan of these mammoth milkers.
This is how you do a critical opinion and make it funny. If nothing else, I love Shoe on Head for epitomizing that you can talk about something constructively and still make it entertaining. You don't have to sit there going, oh, this is the news, everything's shit, oh fuck.
But I do worry about the dynamic and weirdness of women who are essentially sex workers interacting with and asking for donations from chat on a site largely used by young men. Feels like a race to the bottom. When Vosh and I, the people who talk about f***ing Pokemon, are
completely unrelated. Because of one of our donation goals that we hit recently, we will be doing a Pokemon Smash or Pass in the near future. And the fact that Shoe on Head is also a Pokefucker means that this is instantly more based. Maybe I should reach out to Shoe on Head and see if they want to collab on that.
saying things have gotten weird. I think that's proof that things have gotten weird. As a sex worker, I agreed. I dislike the blurring of adult and all ages platforms like Twitch and TikTok.
So
but I also don't know what
that right there is where the biggest issue here lies. It is the blurring of sex and not sex. And Twitch are relying on that. Twitch wants us to think that they cannot tell the difference. But I'm sorry, when they say that it's been blurred, we're talking like somebody's turned down the opacity of a layer in Photoshop by 1%. We are not at that stage where it's so blurred together you cannot distinguish the difference. Twitch 100% knows the difference. And that's what they're entirely capitalizing on. Is that people will take advantage of that so that they can earn more money.
Expected when it's so successful either. I don't know, I guess men expected women not to get borderline naked on a website occupied with children, maybe? The bar is really not that high. There is a market for literally everything. That doesn't make literally...
I would also say that the argument here that this is problematic for kids doesn't hold up either. There are problems on Twitch, as I said earlier, other than titties. At least the titties are a natural thing that they're probably going to see at some point anyway. There's probably this kind of conversation should be being had about the vulnerability of kids and how the fucking predators on the platform are constantly after them. Like, let's deal with the real problem rather than titties, shall we? Like, the titty problem is way... It's not really proportionate. Like, yes, the titties are a slight problem, and it would be great if it was dealt with. But can we sort out the bigger problems first? Please. Like the hate raids, like the bigotry, like the very evidential favoritism, like the very evidential anti-LGBTQ movement. You know, let's focus on let's keep things in scope here, shall we?
Everything excusable. If you give your kid unrestricted access to the internet, that's a you problem. Parents have to take some level of responsibility over their child's online content consumption. That's
true. That's very true. I was out in town a few months ago, and I think there is not to get too bureaucratic here, there is a environmental problem and a generational problem where the kids who are having kids now are the parents of the kids now were... Their parents were very restrictive. It was a generational thing. Kids who were born in the 90s and 80s had very, much more strict parents, because these were the parents who were born in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, back when, you know, the world was a much more close-knit place. You had to be more secure. You had to be a lot more restrictive. And those parents, those people who were born to parents from that age are now grown up, and they're giving their kids what they weren't allowed. They're allowing their kids a level of freedom because they know that that's what they didn't have. And with the way the comfort of life and accessibility to everything and the ease of accessibility on all fronts has sort of, I don't want to say softened because it's a very derivative thing to say, but with how easy and simple and accessible the world is now and how closely connected everything is, it's made the spectrum of accessibility and responsibility much wider. You need to be much more responsible to the accessibility. And if you're not, you need to have those expectations that, yes, your kids will see stuff if you're not willing to take responsibility for the fact that there is that accessibility out there. It is entirely, the experience that your kid has is entirely derived on you. You have to do the parenting and not let the internet do the parenting for you. But that is a ethical thing, that is a generational thing, that is slightly off topic, just something that's worth keeping in mind that leads into this.
I agree with this. Of course I agree with this. Parents should absolutely be monitoring what their kids are looking at online. The issue is Twitch is advertised as a website for them. It is advertised for users 12 and up, so parents will naturally assume that the website doesn't feature like this. I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption to make. Like, I don't have to sit and watch Nick Jr. constantly with a 10-year-old just in case Peppa Pig decides to go Girls Gone Wild. It's safe to assume.
Because you gotta keep in mind, there is a reason why 90% of the content creators on Twitch are over the age of 20, 25, and 30. You are very rarely going to see people over the age of 20 and 25 actually being a streamer. kids are on the platform, but the website is trying to draw in the older audience. Oh, dear. I might have just proven the point of this entire video. Oh, no! Come on! Well, this is clearly still... you know what? I'm glad we're watching this video.
Assume that is not going to happen. So yes, you should be monitoring what your kids are doing online, but this isn't like a kid going onto an 18+ website. This is a kid going on a website that is advertised for them, that is made for them. So this is in big part
issue, I think what she's trying to get to, and what I'm pause champing very heavily, and what I'm trying to articulate is that it's a misleading thing. The platform is advertised for kids, but the way it's enforced and what they're trying to encourage is much more 18+. Like, the platform's ethos is an 18+ projection, but it's a misrepresentation. They advertise it as 13+ because they want everyone on there, but they're not willing to enforce it as a 13+ website. They're treating it like an adult website, but they're advertising it as a 13+ website. And again, that's a Twitch problem.
Website's problem. A lot of people were saying that the solution to this would be making Twitch 18+, which I agree makes perfect sense to do.
Create a section on Twitch, like I said earlier.
Make it 18+, because that's what drives away advertisers. Lots of advertisers.
And again, it all boils down to the bottom dollar.
That are 18+.
Money.
It's
money.
It's bad for their brand. And Amazon, the owner of Twitch,
lest we get
needs
a
more money, of
adpocalypse
course.
a la
Same
YouTube
reason
style.
Twitter isn't being made 18+, because at the end of the day, the richest men in the world need more money. And apparently, Twitch.
I love the fact they put this in. I love the fact, because we were just talking about this. Yep. Twitch is not profitable. Twitch is not profitable. Again. So I know what the problem is. My analytic mind. And so I've spoken to data analysts. I've spoken to people who handle metrics. I've looked at the trends myself. I have done first-hand research for this. And everything leads to the same conclusion. Twitch only cares about short-term gains. Everything they ever do on the platform is about how much money they can make in the now and how much money they can save in the now. Like, whenever they have a round of layoffs, whenever they do something to make a lot of money now, like the Partner Plus program, when they stopped people from having 70-30 split contracts, when they stopped doing big contracts with big content creators, that gives them money now. That gives them extra money now. But in the long run, it ostracizes people, makes them feel less motivated to be on the platform. It discourages more content creators from streaming on the platform. It doesn't nurture a conducive environment for people feeling like they're welcome on the platform. And in the long run, that then hurts them, because when you ostracize people, when you lose people because they don't feel welcome on the platform, numbers go down, and you then have to milk the people who are there more. This is a Blizzard scenario. Like, this is very much a Blizzard with World of Warcraft. As the player base for World of Warcraft dropped, rather than trying to nurture the game and bring people back and play the game, they just milked the people who were still playing it by turning players into payers. Same thing with Twitch. You need asses in seats to nurture a long-form business plan. It is a simple way of running a business. And it's whenever you have short-sighted, short-term gains, it's a sign of a company who is not confident in their own brand or willing to invest to make it work.
Which is going bankrupt.
Hello, Amazon. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for buying your 9th yacht of the year.
No wonder they want to keep the Twitch thoughts on the platform. Also, I didn't even know that Twitter was only 13+ until embarrassingly recently.
I think you meant Twitch.
I beg of you,
either
Twitter. Make Twitter 18+ or get rid of the porn. I personally think the former is the better idea, because I'm tired of seeing unsolicited opinions of minors on the internet, and I just don't get tired of seeing images of strangers' butt pop up on my—
Just to say, Twitter is a very isolated, hyperbolic example. People who are on Twitter generally only exist on Twitter. There is a very good reason why only 5% of the people you ever see on Twitter will go to other platforms. Like, if you are trying to get popular on Twitter, good job, you've shot yourself in the foot, because almost nobody on that platform will ever check you out anywhere else. I can't believe I'm using this as a metaphor, what happens on Twitter fucking stays on Twitter. And if you are subjecting yourself to that, you have put yourself in that bubble. Doesn't make it right or good, but still.
On my Twitter timeline while I'm scrolling in public. Always a joy. But think of the children aside, Twitch is just not a website for this.
That's happened to me on more than one occasion.
There are thousands of other
Casually out
websites
in public,
for this.
browsing
There
my
are
normal...
so many,
Dude,
so...
Just as a request, if I follow you on Twitter because you posted some really cool content, could you guys, like, keep it to the cool content and not just randomly post a picture of your butthole, please? Just a request. Like, I have followed so many people because I like them as a person or I like their content and they were uploading really wholesome, cool stuff on main. And then all of a sudden, butthole. Just out of nowhere, butthole. I suppose, if anything, that's the dichotomous nature of Twitter. You really do never know what you're going to get. But that's more of a branding thing. That's more of a professionality thing. It's kind of why I have multiple Twitters so I can keep my appropriate content as to where it is. Which, you know what, Twitch? Hire me. Fucking hire me. I am hip with the kids. I'm also old enough to have common sense, and I will fix your platform. Just give me a coffee, give me a donut, let me in your office, and I will fix your fucking platform.
Why do these women have to do this on a website not for this? Well, it's simple.
In some respects, I'm glad there's outrage because it's creating conversation.
Are already oversaturated.
The more conversation that we have,
full,
the more likely change will happen.
Mids are not going to stand out on a dirty webcam site where there's thousands of other people doing exactly what they're doing.
Not just people going.
When there's only a few dozen on Twitch doing it, they're more likely to stand out, get more followers, make more money, and attract an audience that wouldn't normally go on those other sites. Unfortunately, in this case, a much younger audience. I remember in like 2008 or so, I did a fan meetup, and most of the people that came were in their 20s, in college, in their 30s, but there were...
I think my community is quite reflective of that. I know for a fact that I'd say about 80% of my community fall within that bracket. I know we have some people who are sort of in the younger range, and we certainly have people that are older. But I do not think Twitch as a whole, the people who are under the age of 18 aren't usually consuming the website as the same as the people who are in that mainline median, if you will.
We're like a few 12, 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds with their parents, and I was just like, oh no. Like, it just didn't even occur to me that people that young would be watching my content or interested in my content. But just the fact that people that age knew about me was so scary.
Here's an interesting thing. The way people view content changes drastically based on the generation they're part of. It might be pretty obvious at this stage, but the average 13-year-old at the moment, their average viewing experience is more indicative to short-form content. Kids in the age range of 10 to 20 currently are more likely to be looking at things of short-form content, things like TikToks, that kind of jazz. And when they watch Twitch streams, they're usually watching it alongside something else. They're not watching a Twitch stream the same way an older demographic would. That's not to say that they don't, and yes, you absolutely get engaged 12 or 13-year-olds, but due to the TikTok-addled attention span of the average 12-year-old, they are likely not actually really engaging, and if they are, they're probably having it as a side thing. To that extent as well, the way content is consumed is very broad. A lot of people will have it up as a background thing. In fact, there are groups of people who will have Twitch streams on in a group call. But, you know, that's just an analytic thing.
So I just have to wonder, like, how are these people not feeling that way? Like, I didn't purposely go out of my way to attract that audience, but these people are going out of their way to attract that audience. If they weren't, they wouldn't be doing it on this website. They would be doing it on the websites this stuff is for. What makes it possibly even grosser is the fact that Twitch uses in-game money, meaning a kid could use their parents' money to buy Twitch bits or whatever the and then use those Twitch bits.
That's a whole different conversation about Twitch bits. Fuck you, Twitch.
In order to get these women to interact with them and to shake their and their parents would never know. Many people suspect this is the reason Twitch made that change, but I don't know. It does line up with Twitch's MO. They will do anything to keep these women on their platform.
Yes,
they are
yes,
their
they
cash
will.
cow.
So here's the takeaway from all of this. If you want to be successful on Twitch, and if you want to get away with absolute murder, be successful. Because if you're successful, you can literally do anything on this platform and get away with it. And if you do get in trouble, you'll just have a one-day ban. It's fine.
In the big bucks. After all, there is a market for this. Men takes two to tango. Most of these
wait a
would be
minute.
broke if it wasn't for your Coomer asses. Oh wow, sex workers.
Look, don't
working
knock
under
the Coomers,
capitalism?
okay?
How crazy.
Coomers are
Every
half
man
my
in
audience.
this comment section has mommy issues and gets no actions. Y'all mad she's making more money with less effort. Finding this sexual makes you're a pervert. Go to your dead mom.
Was that English? Every man in this comment section has mommy issues and gets no action. Y'all mad she's making more money with less... Okay, as somebody who's worked in the sex work industry, as somebody who has friends who work in the sex work industry... Oh dear, we live in a society.
Dead mom. Smartest Twitter user. Sounds like you're just mad you can't manipulate a following in the same fashion. Granted, I don't condone it, but you're
There is a level of jealousy, and you remember my analogy from earlier? How people who get upset are upset because they're jealous? But you don't want to be jealous of people like that, because the people who watch the average titty streamer are not the person who's going to watch you. And just because they're able to make money off of doing what they enjoy doesn't mean that their success is your failure. Your failure is your failure because you fucking eat shit and then you little cretin.
coming off as salty as a group of people found a loophole around the TOS and are abusing it. Frankly, these women should be praised for thinking outside the box and pandering to an audience that isn't oversaturated.
Get your bank. If you've
can't
got
exactly
it,
criticize
flaunt
them
it. If
for
you're
being
allowed to
smart
do it
enough to
within
know which
reason,
outlet has a
if you're
higher
willing to
chance of
sacrifice your
yielding
morals and
income.
dignity,
What do you
fucking
mean? It
do
takes
it.
2 seconds
So long
to
as you're
take off my
making
shirt.
bank.
Literally any woman in the world can do this, but most don't because making on a website mostly populated by minors is gross and insane. Gonna be honest, I thought you were doing. Dude. Funny you shame the women when it's clearly women just taking advantage of the system we live under, capitalism. Yet you call yourself a socialist? A lot of issues do come down to capitalism, but as we do so often with other things, you can criticize people exploiting this system and exploiting the loopholes in this system. We don't just hand wave away politicians buying stock. We don't just hand wave away Jeff Bezos making his employees.
I want to make a point here. If the internet put half as much effort into dealing with real world issues like global warming, political corruption, as they do with Twitch thoughts, we would be living in a dystopian, pure society. There would be no world problems. The amount of energy and effort people put into outrage and absurdism is baffling.
Employees pee in
Utopian,
bottles,
sorry,
just because
not
we live under
dystopian,
capitalism
utopian.
and
Thank
it is
you.
what it is.
English is
No,
hard.
yes, ultimately, I guess it's a capitalism issue. It's a TOS
Oh, it
issue,
all
but you
boils
never
down to
apply
politics.
the standard to people marketing gambling or crypto scams on Twitch, which is funny because like a year ago there was
where's all your
like a bunch
outrage for
of
that?
gambling
Why are we
drama
getting so
on
worked up
Twitch,
about it?
and one of the biggest critiques people
I think there's a subtle underlying cleverness from Twitch. I think Twitch is specifically using titty streamers as a red herring. They are specifically doing what they do so the titty streamers get discourse, so that people stop looking at the less than ethical use of crypto and gambling. Because when you have something outrageous happening and something easy to be outraged by, people stop caring about the thing that's harder to discourse. Like, people, ever since this whole thing with the Th0t Epidemic being a thing, people have stopped talking about the gambling issue and crypto on Twitch. See? Twitch know what they're doing. They're not ignorant.
There are children on this site. You're basically
like to
selling
feign
gambling
ignorance.
to children. So how is this any different? It's amazing that just because they're women, suddenly they get a pass. And if you call it out, you are slut-shaming or a pick-me, of course. Oh look, Queen Pick-me is at it
There
again.
is nothing wrong with being outraged, but it needs to be done in the right place, in the right fashion.
Okay, this insult...
Like, you are entitled to your outrage, just like how people are entitled and allowed to be outraged by Pal World. But there's the right and a wrong way of voicing outrage and concern. It's just the people most people on Twitter, most people who do voice their concern, lack any kind of grounding or concise way of articulating themselves, and are usually I don't want to say stupid, but let's use the term less educated or less verbose, as it were.
Normally doesn't work, but it especially doesn't work.
Who am I kidding? They're fucking idiots.
I am like other girls. Most women, in fact, do not.
You're like other girls? Show me your titties.
It's incredible how criticism of even like a single woman is seen as some personal
way to go,
betrayal,
Makari. You're just reinforcing the
and the only reason
point.
you do so is male attention. I never understood why I need to feel some sort of like loyalty to complete strangers just because we were born the same sex. I don't know you. I don't support all of you. Some of you were dumb. Like as if these kids don't have access.
Some is an understatement.
Access to porn at the tips of their fingertips. Trust me, if they want porn, they will get it. There aren't any toddlers on Twitch as far as I'm aware. It's
come to my
plus.
Twitter.
Do Americans
all my Twitch streams, all my fans leave. You will get porn. It's that easy.
Do they not realize those same kids can and do simply go to porn sites to jerk off? Shu, I hate to tell you this, but the average kid is seeing way worse stuff online all the time.
Desensitization, like we mentioned earlier.
That's not a good thing. Let's be real. This
not
ain't
good,
nothing to
but
kids
it's the world we live in.
nowadays. I grew up with the internet as a kid/teen and was able to find stuff back in 2002, where now...
There was a website I found when I was 14 called bored.com. And this was a funny meme website. Same with Newgrounds, same with E-Bombs World, same with like a bunch of those other websites. And all of these websites had adult sections. Bored.com had Bored Me Rigid, which was literally a cacophony of adult animations. It was the epitome of B on 4chan.
Hello there.
So, yeah, this is just a very endemic thing of the internet, and always has been.
Oh, it's literally
just now
so
people are
easy
starting
to
to
find
become
stuff,
aware
and
of
most
it.
teens have phones. I don't think they would be fazed by this content. Again, that is a bad thing.
Yes.
Maybe it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't.
I hate this whole, well, that's just the way things are attitude. That's how you get people coming up with these head-ass ideas. Like making for kids because kids will find...
Okay, this is something she hasn't mentioned, and this is where I have a big issue. The artistic nudity thing that happened on Twitch, one thing that we saw was almost instantly a bunch of artists started drawing lolicon on Twitch. That is a definitive no-no. That is what Twitch should be really, and as a whole, should be the issue. Like, gratuitous sex and sexuality is part of life. The sexualization of minors and predators is an entirely separate category that should be prioritized way more and needs to be addressed. That is a big problem. Again, there is a distinguishment between general sex and sexuality and actual ethically and less the but how to words. There is a black and a white situation here. There is what is acceptable and there is what is not. And Twitch doesn't want to see the black or the white. They want to see a blurred line so they don't have to enforce any of their rules. And the problems of the internet and the problems Twitch are having isn't like hyperbolically Twitch's problem. It is the problem of the internet as a whole. So if you're getting worked up, you need to be putting your worked upness in the right avenue.
Anyway, there were so many replies to me that were like, I was watching hardcore since I was 10 and I turned out fine. Your Twitter likes are public, sir. No, you didn't. You don't see a problem with this because you are extremely desensitized, and honestly, so am I. I'm no swerf. I'm no worker, exclusionary, radical feminist, because first of all, I'm not a feminist. It's like our culture has become so overly sexual that it's not even sexual anymore. Our culture is just becoming desensitized.
That is the underlying sentiment here. This is a conversation about culture more than anything else.
Tasteful thigh. Because of this oversaturation,
the rest of the
many in Gen Z are
I think a lot of this as well is a normalization of sex in general. Like, people have, as much as people are outraged by sex being presented, people are just much more willing to accept sexuality and sex in general. Like, people are much more willing to understand and express themselves in a sexual fashion because that's the world we live in. We live in a much more free, we live in a much more expressive society. Like, if you were, there's a picture that I found a while ago. This is the epitome. This is the societal dissonance. This is a picture from 1957 of a woman getting a ticket for wearing a bikini. We live in the modern world where sex, sexuality, and sexualization is a much more expressive thing and much more normalized. If this was to happen in today's day and age, you would think you would be living in some very religious country or some dystopian future. In of itself, the concept of expression and sex is a much more accepted thing. And that is something that the people who are getting worked up about this kind of stuff have not kind of acclimatized to. Because they don't understand it, they're outraged by it.
Normal relationships on the big screen. They're bored of seeing sex everywhere. To them, sex has been available one Google click away since they were like 4 years old. And it's having really negative outcomes. Like the amount of grown-ass millennials calling Gen Zers prudes and puritans is another word I saw.
I feel like the rest of this conversation is going to be more ranting about the entitlement and the
gooners. Maybe the younger generation
personal
is
attacks
trying
on people
to tell
that are
us
stupid.
something.
And I totally, if that's all the rest of this video is, I am totally okay with calling out the incels, the idiots, the entitlement, because fuck my life, guys. We need to embrace our expression. We need to embrace that we live in a society that's much more open now. And the people who are resistant to that are the problem.
Me. Just like with video games when I was a kid. Boys are mad because girls are playing in a space they've deemed theirs and are kicking their asses at it. So first of all, girls have already been in these spaces playing video games for years. There was no issue, so
don't believe it. Don't believe it. Girls don't exist. I don't see them, therefore they don't exist. I mean, if girls existed on the internet, where are they? Huh? I've never seen a girl in the same room as a controller at the same time.
It's weird to be like, sorry, we're kicking your asses, boys. Like, kicking their asses at what?
Look in the mirror. You're right! Fuck! I'm a hypocrite! No!
Naked on camera? Being naked on camera in front of minors? I just think it's interesting and ironic how, like, 10 years ago, these same people were fighting to keep sexualized women out of video games, and now they are fighting to keep sexualized women on Twitch.
The people who get worked up about this are the same people who get worked up about muscly women. Like, these are the kind of people that believe that the only place a woman can be is in the kitchen.
For video games, it has come full circle. If only Anita was here to see it. Also, imagine flipping the genders in your stupid fake fan fiction. Imagine a grown-ass man coming into like a female space. I don't know, what's a female space? The Stanley Cup fandom.
What?
Those cups. Imagine a man coming into the fandom of these cups, dangling his ding-dong around, and people are like, can you stop? That's really weird. He's just like, oh,
we're getting into the
you
conversation about gender roles. Oh boy. Okay, here we go.
Go away.
I'm gonna try and stay quiet for this. This is
anything from the men. If anything,
I'm gonna let it cook. I'm gonna let it cook.
Women. Because the more Twitch becomes a website for this, the more this shit rises to the top. And the more normal streamers, especially women, who don't do this.
So that is the argument that I personally agree to. I think so there's a couple of different conversations being had here. The one about appropriateness should be important, and I wish that Twitch would take responsibility, because if it is a gaming website specifically tailored for gaming and content creation, don't get me wrong, sexualized content is still content, but it's not in the appropriate place. That needs to go to appropriate platforms or appropriate categories. And again, that comes up to Twitch for not having the infrastructure to accommodate that.
Sink to the bottom. If I was a female, wait, I am a female. If I was a female gamer grinding my ass off in this male-dominated space, the same way a lot of men do, and seeing what female content rises to the top of this website, I would be pretty demoralized. Look anywhere, not just Twitch. Work starts to
that's the
appear
valid
like
argument to be had for the people who are worked up. The problem is how they're being worked and where they're expressing
it. In 2014, there was a lot of talk about harassment towards women online, and my answer would always be like, just trolls, just block them, just ignore them.
It feels like we have cycles.
Which is still true.
The argument of 2014 has come round and it's evolved.
Trolls anymore. They're your followers, your friends, your allies. You see, sexual harassment has evolved. 15 years ago, it was.
There's also a sentiment here as well about how streamers and content creators nurture that and then rely on it to push their narrative. There's a bunch of content creators whose entire communities are based off of trollish behavior and relying on those kind of egotistical bad take Andes. And what they do is they predate on the people who have those bad takes by having bad takes themselves, because they know that these people who have bad takes are looking for people to validate their bad takes. So they will go to people who have bad takes to surround themselves with shit opinions, to surround themselves with shit people who share those bad takes, because it's the only way they can validate their shit takes. It's that simple. Shit spreads shit.
Was anonymous trolls entering your chat like, show me your tits. Now it's Jeff
what's things you asked so nicely?
asking if you're interested in joining OnlyFans. You know, show me your
she Uno reversed me. I asked you first,
What
bitch.
is stopping me from taking off my shirt and making a ton of money? Besides, you know, a father figure. Pretty much nothing.
And morals.
Any woman can do this, which is why so many women do this. The pressure is insane for young women nowadays, and I honestly feel bad for them. I do. I feel bad for women. What is this? What is this strange feeling? But from their point of view, from what they've been told...
And you want to know what? You know what the funny thing is? This conversation would never have been had 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Because women wouldn't have felt the confidence to do so. Like, women are much more... I don't want to use the word entitled, but women have much more power to voice themselves now. And people don't like that. People don't like the fact that, you know, the gender roles are equal and that people are you know, we're not living in 1940 where the only place a woman could be was in the kitchen. Again, it's about expression. It's about the freedom. It's about the fact that we live in a society. It's about the fact that it's something that's different, and the world is trying to evolve to a point of acceptability and accessibility. And there are people who are resistant and hesitant to that grain. Because it's almost like as humans, we are designed to help each other and be positive rather than being literal scums of the earth.
Society is going to sexualize them anyway. You're a woman online and you don't sexualize yourself? That's okay. We got AI for that. Also, while I'm editing this, I just noticed that was an ad. That's an ad on Twitter. It says ad in the corner. Dystopian. Why not simply take the power back?
Yikes.
Make money
Bringing AI
off
into
the
this conversation? Oh boy.
It's getting weird out there. Men and women are being pushed and pulled in so many different directions. Women are being sold this idea that they should be independent girl bosses who don't need no man. And if they want to make the choice to be sex workers, that's their choice. And I consider myself socially libertarian. So I'm all for personal choice. But how much of this really is personal choice?
I think that's great. If you are libertarian, if you are social libertarian and you think choice is important, great. But here's the kicker. If you make a choice that is ethically questionable or morally questionable, you cannot be a surprised Pikachu face when you then are held accountable for your choices. Like, what? I decided to stab people and murder people, but that was just my point of expression. What? What do you mean that's illegal? I was merely expressing myself. What?
Choice.
Hi, Barry.
I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat.
When are things gonna go back to where you can work and support your family without stressing out. I can't do.
Yo, dude, just become a Twitch streamer. Show your titties. Get up. Do the thing. Man, so entitled. This definitely isn't more of a connotation as to the world we live in and a political commentary about how badly run most first world countries are because they're trying to enslave people into a work environment that keeps them docile and in a state of, you know, being down and controllable. That's a, oh no, that's oh boy, that's a, wow.
Anymore.
Like, I just got a good job. I started in September, but even with that job, I still can't do shit. I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days. Like, I'm just feeling so much despair. And I know I'm normally, like, really, really positive, but...
Much like the whole conversation with Twitch's infrastructure not accommodating for the sex, the same comparison can be made to the world we live in. We live in a world that is fair but unfair and does not have the infrastructure to accommodate those who are unlucky, I guess.
I'm just... like, how is everyone else, and are you okay? Because the answer's probably no.
We're gonna just start an OnlyFans. In 48 hours, how much money did you make?
48 hours.
Oh my god.
I made a little over $1 million.
What? I mean, dude. Again, this is the epitome of the problem with the infrastructure that we live in rather than the issue of the person. Because people are able to make this kind of money, because people have to rely on this to make this kind of money, that is to show, that is more of a sign that the parts of our life that are more normal aren't designed in a way to be not respectful. Oh wow, my brain just did a massive fart. Nurturing, that's the word. The same thing for Twitch, same thing for this. It is about the nurturing and the way you are able to exist there. The fact that you would expect that you would expect that the systemic nature of where you live, what you do, the platforms you stream on should nurture your growth, that should nurture you to succeed, but they don't. That's just, it's a parallel. It's the same thing in a different situation.
$47 million to show tits and ass. Why wasn't I born a girl? Their lives are on Rookie. I wish I was a girl to make easy money.
I also want to point out that it's not worth undervaluing the fact that people like Amaranth make 47 million, because that's a mixture of luck, and they still work fucking hard for what they do. They earned what they did. They put the work in to get that far. If you are complaining that somebody has done that, their success is not your failure. Your failure is yours. Everybody has the chance to do everything they need to. And it's about how much you are willing to compromise and how much you are willing to do to achieve that. Because unless you're... It's a big hypocrisy, because so many people who complain are people who aren't even willing to put in the work.
Like that. Women have it so easy, it's not even funny. There is a lie perpetuated by people on the internet that OnlyFans is this get-rich-quick scheme.
It's
but
not.
that couldn't be further from...
As somebody who does this kind of content, it's not. It's like any other platform. You have to put the work in.
The truth. The average woman on OnlyFans only makes $180 a month, and that's average. Most are making way less than that. But this get-rich-quick lie is not being
And you want to know
sold...
why this is? Because controversy. When something outrageous happens, it comes to the forefront. That one example of outrage and controversy instantly overshadows everything else. That one example, it's like somebody think it's the same comparison can be used for people who think YouTube is an easy way to make money. Just because just because PewDiePie made millions of dollars doing YouTube, people are like, oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna make YouTube content and make millions of dollars. It doesn't work that way. You have to take the journey to get there. There is still effort to be put in to achieve something that is accomplishable.
By only random
it's
people
not
on the
it's
internet.
not as black
it's
and
also
white
being
as that.
sold by OnlyFans itself. Kiss that 99-cent ramen goodbye and say hello to endless opportunities on OnlyFans. This is just the 2023 version of, hey lady, I see you're having financial problems. Say, can you dance? I have a couple of friends who are pretty famous OnlyFans models, and they've disclosed to me that allegedly people who work for OnlyFans have approached them, telling them to post about how much money they made or show off expensive things they bought with
free
money they
advertising.
made by being an OnlyFans model in order to recruit more women
This is why I use Fansly.
to be OnlyFans models. This includes showing off handbags, expensive clothes, makeup, cars, and even houses. Like, I just bought my first house thanks to OnlyFans. It's disgusting to do this in general, but especially disgusting to do this during a housing crisis.
It is a little bit of a pyramid scheme.
Evil.
Little
It's
bit.
incredibly rare you can make a living doing this, just like YouTube. And I could not f***ing imagine if YouTube sold itself like, tired of being poor? Become a YouTuber.
Absolutely great. Good analogy.
Now, why would they do this?
So
why
many people,
would
you have to start
OnlyFans
somewhere.
manipulate and entice poor,
Like, for Christ's
desperate
sake,
people like this?
For the longest time, I wasn't able to make this a full-time job originally. I had to put in the work to get to this. You know, originally I started with maybe 5-10 average viewers from my art community, and I grew from that. I developed. Yes, I haven't grown as fast as I may have wanted, and I might not have 1 billion viewers, but I'm successful because I put the work in. The journey had to be taken to reach the destination.
Oh, that's why. Of course it is. That's always why.
Yes.
In a way, we are all selling our bodies to labor. We are all whether you work at a fast food place,
we work ourselves. It's just the way we work ourselves is different. But this is, I think this is a very different conversation of what this video started
we're
on.
all for capital. At the end of the day, it's a job. These Twitch girls, these OnlyFans girls, they're getting their bag. Like me, like you, like everyone else. And I guarantee you, a lot of the men who about OnlyFans models would do it instantly if they could. You would all be.
Absolutely.
And why wouldn't
But people are far too lazy.
Go to college and go 100K in debt for a useless degree that won't get you a job? Or this. Why wouldn't you? Break your back in spirit working a 9-to-5 that you absolutely hate and get no satisfaction from? Or this. Why wouldn't you? And that, for the modern woman, is probably the
How many of you guys would do that if you had the opportunity? If you knew you could make bank off of doing something
or exploit yourself,
like YouTube or Fansly or something creative like that, or
taking advantage of
a good way of looking at it. Would you rather be able to do something you enjoy for your job versus something that you feel like you have to do for your job? I think that's a pretty easy answer to that one.
To make it in an overwhelmingly male-dominated field, is it really her fault for trying to survive in this unforgiving world in a society that will abuse, exploit, and degrade her anyway? Is it really her fault? Yes! Yes, it is! Get off Twitch! It isn't for the end! So that was that video. I have been wanting to talk about this subject for years now. What do you guys think about this? Do you also...
I could not have said it better myself. This whole conversation, it all really just boils down to the most quintessential, like, Twitter first world problem imaginable. And I'm glad we got to watch this because it's a very poignant subject. I don't think there's much more that can be said about this beyond what we saw. If you guys like this kind of content, though, do let me know what you think. Let me know whether you guys would get your tits out for $50. And yeah, more content coming soon. I'll leave a link to this down in the description, so if you want to see this yourself, I'd recommend go giving Sean Head a watch. They are great at what they do. Yeah, I guess we learned that we live in a society